So, after watching that, and that was back in 2008, right? What was the economy like in 2008?
It was our crash.
It was crashing, right? It was like even before that, it was actually going down. We obviously weren't in a depression, right? We are in a what?
Recession.
We're in a recession, right?
But if you ask Killback started in 1974.
If you ask why did Skillback say it started in
I've
1974?
heard that before too, and I've never had Killback's class.
When the government stopped, deregulated businesses.
I have something that we're gonna watch. We'll probably watch this on Wednesday. It's like a 3.5 minute video about what happened.
Is there gonna be a link to that video?
Sure.
Please.
So, according to future President Barack Obama, what is the American dream? What'd you guys write down?
If you work hard, you can get places.
Okay, so work hard equals success. Good.
I put opportunity and an economic success for American, a dream of retirement, education.
Hold on. No. Don't just read everything you said. Just give me one. Okay. So opportunity. What about opportunity?
It's all connected.
What about opportunity?
Well, he said an opportunity and economic success.
Good. Okay. So what about opportunity and economic success?
For like the opportunity for a good retirement, education, to be able to support a family.
Those are
and have a
all
system
different
of
things.
healthcare. Well, those are different opportunities.
Okay, but those are all different things. Okay, those are all parts of it. But you're saying a whole bunch of things. So I just don't stay like this is everything you said. I win. Right? That's not what I want. So opportunity and economic success for whom though?
For all Americans.
That's it. Right. So for everyone. Are we talking just the rich, just the poor,
All classes.
all classes? And he actually said that regardless of class, regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of religion. Right? That if you work hard, you should be successful. Okay? What else, Gabby? What else did he say is part of the American dream?
To be able to afford things like health insurance.
Okay. He talked about health insurance. And this eventually becomes what? Obamacare. Right? You guys familiar with Obamacare? What is Obamacare?
Everybody's really mad about it.
Okay. Everybody is kind of mad. Not everybody, but a lot of people are mad about it.
Because everybody has to pay into it, and it's mostly for the lower class.
Okay. That's a big problem with it, right? It's mandatory health care, right?
And it affects the businesses.
Affects businesses, right? There are a
As
lot
well
of
as their
different,
health
yeah.
cares.
Yeah, there are a lot of different cause and effects. It actually went up in front of the Supreme Court, right? You guys following that at all?
Yeah, there was a vote between what they should do about it, and it lasted a few days. As far as they figured, one judge would be the deciding vote between. but
And
they
it was
weren't
over.
sure.
So really quickly, what does the Supreme Court do?
The Supreme Court works in progress with the House of Commerce and the President, and so what it is like it's a balanced system between. So like, if you have the
things are
Supreme Court,
constitutional or not.
it's like they can reject a law and they can also submit a law kind
Based
of
on
thing.
what though?
Basically, like
The Constitution.
Based on
basically
Right.
they're
constitutional
saying
rights.
whether it's constitutional.
So it's an
or not.
interpretation of something being constitutional or not, right? That's the Supreme Court's job is to assess whether it's like for example Brown versus Board of Education. You guys familiar with Brown versus Board of Education?
A little bit.
What was it?
It was segregation in schools.
Yeah, exactly. It was about things. It was about schools being separate but equal, and it went up to the Supreme Court, and it was deemed unconstitutional. Right? Brown versus Board of Education. So that's what happened with the health insurance thing because it was mandatory. Right? You have to pay into this health insurance plan, and some people think that we shouldn't have to. But there are certain things that you are forced to pay. What is one thing that you guys are forced to pay? Taxes. What's another thing you're forced to pay if you have a job? Anybody here ever have a job before?
Income taxes.
Okay, income taxes. And what have you looked at? If anybody in here have a job and looked at the pay stub?
It takes a part of your paycheck away depending on if you have a family, how much you claim.
Right, but what's one thing that it always takes away from? Or one thing that it always goes to?
It always goes to your health care, doesn't it?
Social Security. What is Social Security?
Like almost like a retirement fund.
It's a retirement program, essentially, right? It's essentially a retirement program, and you don't have any say in the matter. They are going to take money out of your paycheck for Social Security.
Doesn't it just go straight to the government and they use it like a bank system almost?
Essentially, yeah.
do they owe
And
you?
once you reach a certain age, you're allowed to
Take from Social Security.
pay
and use
into,
it?
or buy into it, right, and get your money, some money back. Okay, so but he feels as though Obama, the American Dream, everybody should be allowed to have this stuff, right? You should be able to work hard and become successful. What else did he talk about?
Equal education.
Education. All right. Is there a disparity between in public education, right? And he's talking about public. He's not talking about private. Okay. You could make an argument that if you don't have a lot of money, you can't afford private education. But he's talking about public education. And what's wrong with public education right now?
There's a big distinguish between depending on where you're at in a state, what state you're in.
In what way?
Well, like the curriculum is all different, so your education level can be different based on funding towards the school, because funding is based on how many students each school has.
Right. So it has to do with how many, and also income taxes as well, right? It has to do. I mean, where does money come from? Well, how is my salary paid?
Texas.
Taxes. Your parents' taxes, right? It also has to do with property taxes, right? Property taxes that you pay into, and then that helps to go and fund public programs like education, right? And the poverty line, right? You guys familiar with the poverty line?
Yeah.
What is the poverty line?
It's when you have below a certain level of income,
Mhm.
is you're considered in poverty.
Right.
And so in certain areas it's greater than others.
And so we talked about this at the beginning of the class, but you can't work very hard, right? And the idea is that you can work hard and be successful, and regardless of being, even if you're born below that poverty line.
But if you're below the poverty line, how can you pay the taxes to get an equal education for the school system?
That's a
to
big
have?
problem of it, right?
And then with like his Obama health care, you have to have the poor to keep the economy running. Otherwise, it's just going to collapse.
Do we need poor people?
We need poor
Interesting argument.
because it holds, like, so that we're not totally inflating everything.
Yeah, I think there
Whereas-
needs to be, understanding the levels of classes, not like just any superiority ways, but having a class for, like, as far as the poverty line and everything, you need multiple classes because otherwise you're going to have all rich and all poor. And then you see this, like, in the Middle Ages, where you had the poor and you had the rich, and that had a huge impact on the economy and the wealth of, like, a kingdom. And so,
Do you think that with the American Dream? Well, I don't know.
I mean,
There's
I don't think
weird
it really
discussion about that.
applies to the American dream, depending on what
Right.
your perspective of the American dream is. But
Right. But even with the poverty line, and this is actually the point I was trying to make, with the poverty line, like if you're born below the poverty line, how possible is it to
get above the poverty line,
rise above it?
it's hard.
Near impossible, right? And a lot of that has to do with the disparity between the education above and below, right? If you're born below the poverty line, that means that you're getting a worse education, and a lot of it actually has to do with, I mean, even on a simple level, resources. There's a documentary out there that talks about the poverty line and talks about education as it pertains to the poverty line, and how schools that teach to students below the poverty line, they're like textbooks, for example. There's a documentary that was made, I think, in the 90s, and talked about textbooks, and I'm not joking. They one of the teachers talked about how in their textbook, their history textbook, it said that one day they hope to eventually get to the moon. One day, we will land on the moon. This was made in the
That
90s.
old.
When did we land on the moon? In the 70s, right? So it's 20 years old, this textbook, and they're still using it. Is there something wrong with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Science has changed a lot since then.
Right. Lots of things are changing. So that's one reason why.
We can't afford new textbooks.
Right, and so the education is obviously different, right?
So-
Just even on that simple level. What else did Obama say about the American dream and what it is?
The ability to support a family.
Okay, right. So we need to be able to work hard and be successful so that you can support a family, right? That's something that everybody should have the ability to do. Okay. But what's his argument? And actually, we weren't able to get to it because I paused the video beforehand. He said, no longer is this the case. No longer does the American dream exist in this way. Did I miss something, by the way? Did you say anything else?
Retirement,
Oh, we talked, yeah, right.
which we kind of covered with the Social Security.
Yeah. This is, to a lot of people, the American dream. And a big part of it, right, is right here.
Support a family.
Work hard, be successful, right? As long as I work hard, I can be successful. What's the problem with that?
Because success is not defined.
Success is not defined, okay. But what if you define success as making a lot of, because that is a part of it, right? If you can support a family, we're talking about money, okay? So if we are talking about money, then success is partially defined right there. What's the problem with that?
Well, it would still be kind of, I mean, it's partially defined, but wouldn't it be like you would have to have a set
It goes right
amount
back to the
to-
education thing.
to get that money? Like, you'd have to know how much money would count as successful to you, and you would also have to have the resources to get to that point.
How much money is, again, so that you can support that family? Even still. Are people in our recession having a problem supporting their
Yes.
family? What's happening? Their homes are being foreclosed. People are losing their jobs. People are going on welfare. They're going on social programs, so just so they can support their family. So they might have worked really hard.
Which doesn't equal up to success if they can't. I mean,
Right.
In that sense.
So why not?
Got this total track. Lost.
Why? How are you lost?
Like, I totally just lost track.
Oh, you had something and then you
Yeah.
lost it? Okay, I thought you meant you were like lost in the discussion.
No.
Like you didn't know what we were talking about. Why can't you be successful here? Why isn't this attainable?
Because
It's not in-
apparently if you're below the poverty line, it's almost impossible to get above it. And
Even still, I have lots of friends who weren't born below the poverty line and they went to school. I mean, Linfield, I don't mean to I'm not trying to brag, that's not my point. Linfield's an expensive school to go to. People born below the poverty line don't normally go to Linfield unless they have a lot of scholarships.
And it's the economy as far as part of it. I mean, that's not the whole reason, but like if you don't have a working economy and a working system, then you can't effectively have people having jobs. You can't produce, the mass work that people need. You can't go out. I mean, like teenagers like our age are going to have a hard time finding jobs at this point because most adults can't get a job. How are we supposed to get a job, And so if we define our success by money and you can't get a job, then you can't change the fact that you're, gaining that success.
Right. With what was I going to say? Oh, that's my train of thought. I'll get to that actually in a second. Do you guys think that the American dream exists? Does it still exist? Is it dying or is it dead?
It's-
What do you mean rip? Oh, rest in peace. Okay. So, is it dead? Is it dying? Or is it still real?
Depends on who you ask.
I'm asking you.
Different situations, there's some situations, yeah, it's totally dead.
It's totally dead by the standards.
Yeah.
If you have a different standards for the American dream as yourself, like if you believe the American dream is something else, but since this is mostly what people define the American dream as a perspective of looking at what is defined
General
it is dead.
perception, yes.
Okay, then let's not say is the American dream dead. Is the idea that you can work hard and be successful dead?
Yes.
How and why?
You can work all your life and still be under the poverty line
And still be in debt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
What
of
holds us back from being successful?
ourselves?
Ourselves? Like me specifically?
I
So Willie Loman, for example.
in my personal opinion, ourselves. Because we're striving for something that we see as the only thing for success.
Okay.
And so for me, it's like success needs to be put into other things. And that is the reason why we don't reach or obtain the
So you're just
success.
redefining success?
In my opinion, yes.
So, what is success to you?
Success is working to achieve a higher standard as for yourself. So if
What
you,
is that higher standard?
for me, it's like I want to make sure that I'm going to make sure that I'm going to graduate and go to college. That is my success. Once I get to college, that is my success, you know? And then from there,
That's only 4 years.
well, you know,
That's only
I mean,
but I mean,
it's always
it's only 4
changing.
years of success.
It's always changing.
Okay, so what are you expecting to happen after you go to college?
To be able to actually get a job.
Okay, get a job. What else?
And then from there, I don't know. I haven't planned.
Are you expecting to become a millionaire?
No.
A billionaire?
No.
You just want what? Comfortable life? You want to be comfortable? How many of you in here are trying to become a millionaire? That's my goal. Seriously, Paige?
No.
Okay. How many of you are in here to become a millionaire? Make 6 figures even. So that's over that's $100,000 or more every year.
It'd be nice, but I don't think
You want to make over $100,000 a year. Okay.
I would like to.
How many of you in here, I just want to live comfortable. I just want a house. I want to be able to support my family or be
I
supported.
just want to travel.
You want to travel? That's not cheap. Okay.
Well,
Are you going
I
to
want
travel
house.
until you're dead? Or are you going to eventually settle down? Because you said you wanted a job. Right?
I wanted,
Or you want to travel while you're comfortable. So
I
like
wanted to be a musician so I could travel.
so maybe you want to take like a month off or something like that?
I wanted my job to be part of traveling.
Okay. Okay. But do you think that Americans are all out there like, I'm going to be rich?
A
My
lot of
goal
them
is
are.
to become a millionaire. No, what is their goal?
Happiness.
Happiness, sure. Good luck being happy while you're starving in a gutter. That's not very happy. That's not that's not something people are looking forward to. It's hard to be happy when you're hungry. Right? So, comfort. I just want to be comfortable. What's wrong with that? People are trying to just be comfortable, and they're still losing their homes, they're still losing their jobs, and they're forced to go on welfare. That's what I'm getting at. So I am totally right up there with you there, Brittany. Like, we should not look at, like I don't necessarily need the almighty dollar, right? I'm a teacher, for crying out loud, right? I'm not out there to become a millionaire.
Do you feel successful?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm
good.
23 years old. I got a job when I was 22 years old in a career that I knew I wanted when I was in high school. That's success to me. Probably the best job I could have gotten in this field too.
I want to be a musician. Do I want to be famous? No, but I want to be a musician, and that'll be my
Okay.
success.
But I'm pretty comfortable. I'm really comfortable, actually. So comfortable I could buy a new car, right? I can do things that I want to do. I can go on vacation. Don't really have to worry that much about money, right? And it's not like I'm out there to become a billionaire, right? I'm just out there to become comfortable. And most people just want that comfort, but it's
I'm
really hard to
shooting for
attain.
more so that if I do not attain that more, I'm still comfortable.
Working at Target.
What?
I don't mean to be super depressing right now, but it's true. It's something we
After
need to talk
college,
about, right?
If I don't become this huge scientist, I'm still going to have that where I can get a job
Mhm.
and I'm needed.
Okay.
So where I
Sometimes
can
it's
pay
not
the
Problem
working,
is,
though,
though,
it's who you
we
know.
are working hard. We are trying to be needed so that we can have this. But there is something ruining that right here. And we aren't getting to that comfortable level. We're getting to that level again of foreclosure,
Okay, but
financial instability.
most people want to just blame it on the economy right now, which I mean they understandably
But a
can.
lot of it does have to. Let's look at this.
It is the
I mean it's understandable is what I'm
You
saying.
can. I mean, I'm
But
totally right there
part
with
of the
you.
reason the economy is what it is because the way we make our decisions, the way we choose
Yes.
to live up to the Joneses.
Yeah.
So technically, if you want to put blame on anything, it's ourselves as Americans and what we do. It's not the economy. It's
So
us.
obviously things need to change.
Yes.
Buddhists do not have desires.
That doesn't always work. People have tried that.
So what I want to do is I want to read this. Okay. So there should be an article.
They love desires.
Okay, please don't write on this or anything like that, or even take it with you because I'm going to come in my other class as well. But it says, "What happens to the American dream in a recession?" This was written in 2009. Okay, so follow along. We're obviously not just going to read this all the way through. It says, given the battered economy, increasing joblessness, and collapse of the housing market, what is the state of the American dream? Right? What's happened to it? Where has it gone? Is it still here? Like I asked you, is it dead, is it dying, or is it still alive? Pollsters for the New York Times and CBS News set out last month to try to answer that question, and the results seemed somewhat contradictory. Although the nation has plunged into its deepest recession since the Great Depression, you guys, we are worse off as an economy, in our economy, than we have been since the Depression. Not before the Depression, not compared to the Depression, but since the Depression ended and we started bouncing back as an economy, we have not been worse. 72% of Americans in the nationwide survey said they believed it is possible to start out poor in the United States, work hard, and become rich. A classic definition of the American dream. And yet only 44% said they had actually achieved the American dream, although 31% said they expect to attain it within their lifetime. Only 20% have given up on ever reaching it. Those 44% might not sound like much, but it is an increase over the 32% who said they had achieved the American dream 4 years ago, when the economy was in much better shape. So this is essentially what that means. Compared with 4 years ago, fewer people now say they are better off than their parents were at their age, or that their children will be better off than they are. So even though their economic outlook is worse, more people are saying that they have either achieved the dream or expect to do so. So compared to a study that was done 4 years earlier than this one, more people, even though the economy is worse, more people think that they will or have achieved the American dream than it was 4 years prior.
Can't it just be our expectations have lowered?
Yeah, sure. Maybe our expectations have lowered, but it's still looking at they're still using the same definition. Okay, they're still using the classic definition of what the American dream is. So this author asked, what gives? We asked Barry Glassner, who's a professor of sociology at the University of Southern California and studies contemporary culture and beliefs. What is a sociology professor or sociology major? What is the study of sociology? Study of social interactions, of societies, right? If you, for example, like there are certain things that we as Americans do because it's ingrained in us on a social level. When you walk into an elevator, doors open, you walk in, what do?
Press a button.
Turn around. Exactly. You turn around, okay? And you face the door. Next time you walk into an elevator, don't turn around. Face the people. Guess what happens most of the time?
Awkward?
It's awkward for a bit, and then everybody turns around and faces the way you're facing.
Wait, do they really?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that.
Do it. See what happens. Obviously, you're going to need more than a floor, right, to do it. And you probably couldn't do it at this elevator because there's actually stuff to look at, right? You could do that, and it's not that weird. But just face nothing, or a mirror, right? Sometimes it'll be worse. There's a mirror right there. Right? See what happens, though. People often, more often than not, will turn around with you, right? People will walk into that elevator. Guess what they'll do? Okay, I guess I face this way. Right? Yeah. So that's the study of sociology.
I thought we just faced the door because that's the way we're going to exit.
Yes, we do. That is why we face the door. But still.
I didn't realize that people would actually literally turn around.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, everybody else is doing it, right? So this guy, this sociology professor from University of Southern California, he basically tries to answer the question, right? Why, in an economic environment such as this, why do people think it's better, right? Maybe expectations, but actually, this is what he says. You want to hold on to your dreams even more when times are hard.
That's because the prosperity feels better?
And if,
Because maybe the prosperity feels better once you know you've gone through hard times?
Maybe. I think it has to do with more than that, than it feeling better. I don't think people are looking at like, look, if I can do this, I can achieve anything. I don't think that's really what it is. I think it has to do more with maybe hope. Okay, but let's keep going. He says, and if you want to hold on to it, then you better define it differently. So, but does you want to hold on to your dream even more when times are hard? Does that resonate at all with Death of a Salesman?
Yes.
Why no?
Yes, but he holds on to it even harder.
Or are you saying he doesn't hold on to the American dream at all? He completely loses all hope and faith?
Well, his family does because he goes insane.
Okay, but does Willie? No. No, right? Willie is in it until the very end, right? Why does he do that? How do you explain Willie's own mentality? Why on earth would Willie hold on to something at this point? Okay, because of his brother, because of social pressures? Because if he was to, like, here's an example, right? Charlie offered him a job.
His pride.
His pride. He would lose his pride, right? And if he took the job from Charlie, what is he admitting?
He's giving up.
Yeah. That's complete and utter failure. He is now defeated, right? Because in his mind, he should still be able to be successful on his own. But how do you explain then the fact that he takes $50 a week from Charlie?
He's not telling his family.
Still, it doesn't matter. He could go get that job from Charlie and just not tell his family that he's getting that he has that job. So what's the difference? What's the difference between him taking the job from Charlie, giving up something he's devoted his life to, and taking $50 from him without a job?
It's just that he's devoted his whole life to being a salesman. And he feels that being a salesman, he's independent and that he's the one creating his
But
own
he
thing.
feels that way, right? He feels like he's independent. He's obviously codependent on someone. But how does he rationalize it, even with that $50?
He's gonna pay.
It's gonna pay him back, right? Even Willie, in this situation, he says, I'm gonna pay him back. I'm gonna be able to bounce back from this. I'm gonna start a garden, right? He thinks he can start a garden. Sell it, $20,000 idea. To Willie, he holds on to this dream more and more when things get worse and worse. Just like Americans. I mean, this is a total parallel. In other words, people are shifting their definition of the American dream. And the poll conducted on April 1st to the 5th with 998 adults with a margin of sampling error of plus or minus 3 percentage points indicated just that. The Times and CBS News asked the same open-ended questions 4 years ago and again last month. What does the phrase the American dream mean to you? 4 years ago, 19% of those surveyed supplied answers that related to financial security and a steady job. And 20% gave answers that related to freedom and opportunity. There's an obvious connection between those two things. Obviously, you can have, in order to have that financial security and stability and a steady job, that the freedom and opportunity plays right into that. But they can still be looked at as separate entities. Now, fewer people are pegging their dreams to material success, and more are pegging it to abstract values. Those citing financial security dropped to 11%, and those citing freedom and opportunity expanded to 27%. With Willie Loman, who do you guys think, and I think that it could go either way, but who do you guys actually think he's more concerned about when it comes to the American dream? Is he concerned about his own success or his kids' success?
So he's definitely more about his kid's success. He's on his way to dying.
Mhm.
I mean, he's old in age and he wants to prove to them that they can succeed. Because, like, he goes, when they were kids, he goes, oh, you can just walk into a jungle and come out a man and be able to have wealth.
Mhm.
And so he wants his kids to have the mentality to go out there and to achieve.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, how on earth does he expect his kids to get that, though, if he couldn't get it?
They think he has it.
Okay, that's a big part of it, right? That image is really huge to him. I think that to Willie Loman, those who are who have the most importance to him in terms of how he looks are his kids. And he completely loses it when he knows that Biff doesn't look at him the same anymore since he walked in on him in high school, right?
I think most people people would look at their parents the same after that.
Right. But of course, Biff, right? Even Biff alone is a tragic character of sorts, right? Because he completely abandons everything, right? And why on earth would he do that?
Because his dad was his rock. He believed in him more than anything else.
Okay. And what does Willie accuse Biff of? Basically, accuse him of, right? He says that you only threw your life away out of what? What's that word he used? Spite, right? Out of spite. What does it mean to spite someone?
Like, go against them and say, like, "Ha, I did this just to annoy you."
Just to get at them, right? I didn't follow on with my career. I didn't do what you wanted me to do just to spite you, just to make you feel worse, right? And in the end,
Kind of makes sense.
what does it make sense?
It would kind of make sense
What would
for him to do spite at his father.
Mhm.
Because he saw
To be spiteful.
because he saw him with another woman and that really hurt him. So to get back at him for
Mm-hmm.
you know,
But who's he also hurting in the process?
he's hurting himself and his mom and his brother.
Everyone, including himself. Right? So, one thing though, Brittany, that you talked about is like redefining the American dream, right? How do you redefine that American dream? Well, here's some respondents' answers that were put in a category of freedom and opportunity. Freedom to live our own life. Created equal. Someone could start from nothing. And that everybody has a fair chance to succeed, to become whatever I want to be healthy and have a nice family and friends. More like Huck Finn, escape to the unknown, follow your dreams.
I like that one.
Those who responded in material terms were hardly lavish. What does lavish mean? Spoiled, extravagant, right? You're talking about riches, right? That's being a billionaire, right? So even those who talk about material possessions, right? Looking at the American dream as something material, it still isn't even become a billionaire, become rich. It's not lavish at all. It says basically have a roof over your head and put food on the table. Working at a secure job. Being able to have a home and live as happily as you can, not spending too much money. Just financial stability. Owning own home, having civil liberties. Mr. Glassner said, for the vast majority of Americans at every point in history, the prospect of achieving the American dream has been slim, but the promise has been huge. What's the problem with that?
That's just a promise.
It's a promise, right? People are promising, yes, if you work hard, you can be successful in America. And yet,
chances are slim.
exactly, people have very, very rarely been doing that. At its core, this notion that anyone can be president or anyone can be a billionaire is absurd. A lot of Americans work hard, but they don't become president and they don't become billionaires. Still, he said, Americans have always believed in possibilities. And they have consistently said over time that they can start poor in this country and become rich regardless of the economy or their circumstances. The 72% who feel that way today is down from the 81% who felt that way in 2007, but 72% is still a very high percentage, especially given the downward economy. It would be hard to find another country where it's as high, Mr. Glassner said. The percentage of people who say the American dream does not exist or is only an illusion has remained low. 3% today and 2% 4 years ago. As one such person put in our pollsters last month, a bunch of hooey. What is a bunch of hooey?
Nonsense.
Yes.
No, what is he saying is a bunch of hooey?
The American dream.
The American dream is a bunch of hooey. But only 3% say it's dead or non-existent. And then I like this at the end. It says, by the way, the phrase the American dream is generally agreed to have been coined first in 1931 in the midst of the Depression. In his book, The Epic of America, the historian James Truslow Adams wrote, it is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of social order, in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain the fullest stature of which they are innately capable. Work hard, and if you're capable of doing so, you can achieve it. It's kind of where the American dream stems from. And what's kind of ironic is the Great Depression kind of destroyed that, and then in the 70s we'll watch with how businesses function also helped to kind of destroy the idea of the American dream.
What about when econ travels over to English?
Ah, look at that. It's multidisciplined. Now I want to ask you guys this question, and we'll end with this. Why are we studying the American dream? Somebody in the last class just said, why are we doing this? And that's one thing that I think you guys should do. You guys should always question what we do, okay? But you should also try to find your own value in it. But why are we studying the American dream? Why are we so extensively looking at a play that was performed in 1947 by a guy who's dead about a thing that I don't want to do, and they talk funny in it? Why on earth are we reading articles about a recession that I'm not really a part of? Because, Mr. Scott, I'm 16 years old.
You are too a part of it, sorry. At 16, you are too a part of it.
It's something that's gonna, whether you think or not,
It's gonna apply to
affects you, and it's going to affect you more as you grow older.
Just like in the play with Willie Loman, he goes, "Oh, you didn't care when your money came from your dad. That's when you looked into it. But now that you're a thing, you don't really look into what happens here."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "It did affect you then. Now it doesn't." And so it's like you don't really realize that. And so like as a teenager, I hear all the time from people like, "Why do you even care about politics?" Or "Why do you even listen to that?" Or it's like maybe it is just politics. But if you think about it, if you don't know who's in politics, how in the world are you supposed to be expected to make a vote on something that you don't understand in the future? I mean, if you're 16, you're 2 years away from voting.
What about the American dream then, though? Like, I mean, even Brittany, you said, like, my goal, I'll be successful when I'm in college. Okay, but then I said, that's only 4 years, and then you'll graduate, hopefully not with a lot of loans, hopefully not with a lot of debt, because college is expensive. So where's the silver lining, you guys? Because
There is no silver lining.
there is none. So then you are just destined for most likely failure.
And I just don't believe
Most of you probably won't have a job by the time you get out of college. None of you have anything to look forward to. This is the best education you'll get because the next education you'll get will be really expensive and it won't even pay out in the end. Because at least this can get you to college. What's college going to get you? A job at Target.
Yep.
Is that what we have to look forward to?
I mean, we can dream, and some may attain those dreams, and some will not.
It
Therefore,
does
it's hard.
say Americans have always believed in possibilities. And they have consistently said over time that they can start poor in this country and become rich regardless of the economy or their circumstances.
I don't believe regardless of economy and circumstances. I believe that at one point in time there was that possibility of starting from the ground down, working your way up. But that was when there was almost unlimited resources and because I mean, they had that circumstance to come across oil. They had that circumstance to find the land.
Mm-hmm.
They had that circumstance.
You mean opportunity?
She's just too pessimistic.
I am pessimistic and I'm also a realist. So, yeah.
So what is it then? Like what is there to look forward to?
Happiness and comfort.
How?
Through working.
The greatest
There's really
happiness.
No definition.
There isn't. It's different for each individual. For some people, they could say the greatest happiness in life is to have that family, to have someone there next to you.
Look at Willie though. Willie had his family. Was he happy?
Yes, but that's Willie. I'm not Willie Loman now, am I?
What about Biff? What about Happy? Did Happy seem happy?
Okay, but Biff, he was happy when he was away from his family, when he had the land. When he worked that land, he found happiness.
He wasn't on land. Where was he for 3 months?
In jail.
He was in jail.
Well, yeah, but
That's why they couldn't find him. He was in jail because he stole, because he's a kleptomaniac. Right? He stole balls when he was in high school. He stole that suit and went to jail. He stole Oliver's pen when he tried to go get in good with him. That's not a good way to do things. Right? You don't come up to me like, Mr. Scott, can you help me on my essay? By the way, I'm going to take all your things. Doesn't work. No, give me my
Especially
stuff
sitting
back.
there.
No, then you run away. So, we're not done with the American dream.
oh, fun.
Okay? We're not done. We're going to keep talking. We're going to actually do something else. We're going to probably watch a movie. Watch a film called In America. Really good. It's a really, I think it'll give us a good perspective on the American dream. And a little more current, a little more modern. And then we'll end probably after that. But I hope that we can come to some sort of silver lining. Something there, right?
Paige knows me so well, and she's only known me for a little bit of time. I am a pessimistic.
Well,
I'm an optimist.
so where's the silver lining? This optimism.
Silver lining is that it's attainable.
It is attainable.
The fact that it's obtainable doesn't mean you actually obtain it, so you may never.
It means that
reach
it's
that.
possible, so you can, so that's the hope. So there's the silver lining.
Your hope is your silver lining. Okay.
So
Hope.
hope is our silver lining. Willie had hope, right?
But he didn't feel he reached it.
But because he wasn't able to dash that hope away, he died. I mean, look at it. He was offered a job for $50 a week. He just got done asking his boss for a mere salary of $40 a week. He was offered a job right after that for $10 more a week. And he didn't take it. Because
Which is
we,
stupid.
as Americans, perhaps, and maybe this is what we gain from it. Maybe we gain the fact that being so rigid, so prideful, full of such hubris, won't necessarily get us where we want to be.
You can't be set on one thing. You always got to leave your options open.
Okay, so Wednesday we'll talk more about this. We're going to talk more about where the American Dream, why the American Dream is the way it is. I have kind of a cool short video. It's full of like pictures, so you guys will be more into it, I think, than just Obama talking. But we'll do that on Wednesday, and that's it. I will see you guys then. Bye.